Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Or maybe you're watching this on the Galaxy, and so it's like, welcome to my stream. I'm going to see if I can upload this on the Galaxy as well. If you don't know what the Galaxy is, I will put the link below in this video. The Galaxy is a truly creator-centered multimedia platform that is being built on an organic kingdom timeline in service to the restoration of the muse, the artist, the organic Hollywood codex, in service to the organic planetary ascension happening in Christ. If you don't know what I'm talking about, welcome, it's okay. All the links to all of my content will be posted below in the description, and it is Sunday once again, and I have just committed myself to uploading a video once a week for my channel just to get into the flow of it. And as much as I would like to be recording this somewhere other than my little room that still needs a sofa so I can be fully comfortable, I am trusting the process. This whole summer is a season of walking by faith, not by sight, at deeper levels than ever before into something so new. And yeah, so as much as I would love to take you on an adventure and vlog about my life beyond this room, that will come when it comes. I'm just using what I have right now, and I'm just feeling more and more okay with where I am. And I'm just going to keep vlogging, I think, at least once a week. I'll just open up and share. So I'm actually going to do some book reviews today. I'm really excited. I went to the library, so last Saturday, I went to the library. I think I shared that in my last video. And I ended up reading 3 novels this week. I got 4 novels when I went to the library. I've already read 3 of them. I didn't even know I had that kind of time. But I guess on God's timeline, it's like time is bendy. So yeah, I've read 3 novels this week. So I've got 1 left, and I'm going to do a review. I'm going to share about each of them. They were so good. They were really good. And it just felt so good to get back into a flow of, devouring a novel. It's been a long time since I've had a novel in my hands that makes me want to just sit and read for hours. So yeah, I'm really glad I went to the library. So that's going to be most of the vlog today. I'm going to do a little book review. Yeah, other than that, the description, the links to everything else I'm doing, I'm just going to put it below rather than talk about it here in the video. Because I'm doing so much. There's so much being born. So yeah, I'll put links to everything else below. And we'll go from there. I'm so excited to do this book review. So, okay, sip of water. So, when I went to the library, I didn't even know really what I was looking for. I just knew I wanted some summer reading. And I just browsed the fiction section and just picked out some books. And it was the easiest. I feel like these books just they were glowing, and I just picked them. It was very easy, very fast. I didn't spend a lot of time there. And they kind of make a nice stack here. So I've read these 3, and this will be my 4th one. I was going to start it yesterday, but then I couldn't. I opened up the first page, and I just couldn't because I wasn't yet ready to leave the literary atmosphere that the last book I read had opened up for me. So I'm going to get into each one here. I love reading. I really do. And as much as I'm a futurist and a visionary regarding new earth technologies, because I am that, I know we need to preserve the art of reading and handwriting. This is why I invite my patrons to send me handwritten letters, because we need both. I don't believe it's part of God's plan and destiny for humanity to leave behind written, spoken art. I don't believe everything is meant to be digitalized. I think we can use AI for really beautiful things. I used AI to create my cover for my poetry book. It's cool, right? It's whatever. But yeah, I think we need to have a balance. So yeah, I'm all about the future. I'm all about the new tech. And because of that, I know we need to preserve the sacred art of bookmaking, of books, of things printed on paper, of handwriting. I believe we can have both. And I love nothing more than dissolving into a novel. I don't like to read things from the screen. I don't like it. I don't like Kindle ebooks. No, thank you. I've never been interested. I get it works for some people. That's fine. For me, when I read, I don't want to read on a screen. I just don't want to. For me, the screen is more the place for creative output. When I read, I actually want more tactile. So anything, even if they're like, I need to get a printer. I would love to get a printer, I should say, at some point, because like, even if someone sends me an article or something, I would rather print it. And I like to annotate by hand, like with pencil. Obviously, I don't do that with library books, but I love to be engaged with what I'm reading. So yeah, it felt so good I feel like I fell back in love with reading this past week at a deeper level. And I feel this is something that will continue in my life. Really excited to share about these with you. So, okay, first book is called The Locket by Richard Paul Evans, author of The Christmas Box. All of these books, I've never heard of these authors before. I don't know anything about them. I just picked the books that were glowing from me off the shelves. And this author it looks like he has a lot of other books with a Christmas theme. I saw those at the library. I didn't get them, but I may, like, as we get closer to the Christmas season, because I love a good like Christmas romance novel. All of these books are, I would say, love stories. They're definitely romantic, but in a really deep way. Like, deeper than like those romance novels that are like, I have a few of them because some of them are fun, but they're a little bit, how do I say? They're like a different genre of romance, a different genre of literature. These are all like romantic, but they feel more like classic romance, like classic novel love stories, where it's not just the romance, it's like the deeper human love story, the deeper humanity of the characters. Like, it's not just focused on the passion of the romance between the lovers in the story. Like, those are fun books, but they're a whole genre in and of themselves. These are all like much deeper. Really, really beautiful. So yeah, The Locket. This was an easy read. It was a really sweet story. Like, it's really, really sweet. It's told from the perspective of the main character, a young man who is honestly so lovable. He's this very just tender, he comes across as this tender, sensitive young man who came from a broken family. His father was an alcoholic, and it seems he's really resolved to not repeat that pattern. But he came from poverty, and he's dating this young woman, he's dating this young woman who comes from a really rich family. So this is part of the drama in the story, is that her father, her family is not very accepting of him because they just see him as like this low life. How is he going to provide for their daughter? So that's this point of like dramatic tension in the story. But it really goes beyond that. It's really a deeper story. I feel the author did a good job of weaving in that humanity, but it doesn't feel like the central focus. It feels like there is this deeper story that is so personal to this main character and everything he goes through, that also reveals this greater, like, universal love, is the best way I can put it. It's very well done. So this main character, he ends up getting this job at a senior living facility, and he forms a relationship with one of his residents there, an elderly woman who, like, we get to hear her love story too. So she has letters, and so it's this really beautiful, like, there's multiple layers of love stories woven in, and she has this love story. She has this long lost love. And she shares some of her heart with this young man who comes to work at the place. And so much of her story, like, mirrors and parallels the emotional tones of what he's currently living through. So he learns a lot from her, and it's just tender. And at some point he gets accused of harming one of the other residents. He gets falsely accused because there's another girl who basically she wants to date him, and she's jealous and she's upset that he's rejected her advances because he's in love with this his girlfriend at the time, and she's wanting proposal, but the father, there's all these different things going on. And and then he goes through this whole legal battle because he's convicted of murder, and it's the whole thing. I'm not going to spoil it, but that's the premise of the novel, and it's beautiful. So there's like a lot of tender tones, and we get this elderly woman's love story woven in, and it's a story of like maturing, I think, through trial and hardship, and through having faith in a purity of heart, and at the same time an invitation to not miss out on love when it's present before you. Like, yeah, it's really beautiful. So that's a good read. I recommend it. It was an easy read, but had a lot of depth. And I'm definitely interested in the other Christmas themed books that this author has. So yeah, it was so lovely. I felt like I read it so quickly, so easily, and it was moving. It was good. So then I moved on to The Little French Bistro by Nina George. Never heard of this author. I guess she's also the New York Times bestselling author of The Little Paris Bookshop, which now I want to read that too. The Little French Bistro. So I picked this novel, it just looked really cute, summery, feminine. And oh my gosh, what a wild tale. So I had just finished The Locket, and then I picked up this one, and it took me a moment. The writing style is different, and this novel this one is told through first person point of view, through the main character. This novel, it also has a main feminine character, but it's not told through her point of view. The whole novel is written from third person. So we get deeper insight into the other characters as well. And it took me a moment to adjust to the writing style. I found myself wanting to know more about the main character, to go deeper into her inner world. So it took me a little while to realize that this writing style jumped around a little bit more from one character to another. But once I like acclimated to that style, I could like feel the tones of this novel. And oh my gosh, this is a wild story. It really is. It's really beautiful. It's really moving. Um, there's a lot of mysticism woven into it unexpectedly. A lot of magic around the feminine path of liberation. So it starts out, I'll give the premise of the novel. Marianne, the main character, she finds herself in her older years, I think she's 60, and she is so unhappy in her marriage. And the novel starts out quite dark, actually. It starts out quite grim. She is, I'll just say, she's planning to end her life. That's how it starts out. And so there's this heaviness to it at first that's unexpected. So it's like the novel is well done with like the way it's actually a story of redemption and second chances. Like it's a really positive story ultimately. And really reveals like the journey of a woman's psyche, I would say, when it's like the journey of a woman's psyche as she reorients herself toward passion and love. Like she's so ready to end her life, but then she just finds herself in these experiences that reinvigorate her with life. And it feels sort of, you kind of get the sense that there is a higher power guiding her. Like you just get the sense that this is happening to this character, and we get to witness like basically how benevolent, divine, angelic forces are like, there's all these synchronistic things that happen to her. You know, she just feels so miserable and doesn't feel loved. Like her husband has made her feel so, she just does not feel loved and cherished. There's no passion, there's no romance. And so she's very, very disconnected from her woman, from her life force, from her essence. But then she goes on this journey and she starts meeting these people who just live so differently. And there's all this passion and they're so welcoming of her. And she goes through this whole transformative process that makes her want to live. And it really made me think about how important our communities are in like our sense of livelihood, and that being in isolation is not good for the human soul, or being in relationships where we're not actually being met or seen. It's kind of the same as being in isolation. And it's really important to be around people that we feel our soul can dance with. Like it's so important for life. It really invigorated me with this passion to experience more life more fully. And that, I mean, it's up to me to keep stepping into that, but it's also the communities that we find ourselves in. So yeah, it's really beautifully done. I won't share everything that happens, but you know, she at some point she has to choose, is she going to go back to her old life with her husband because he comes looking for her? Her husband that she doesn't actually love. He doesn't actually love her. They're just together because it's convenient and it's all they've ever known. But it's just static. It's just dead. So she has to choose between this old way and this new life that she's tasted, and this new version of herself that comes alive. And it's amazing, all these aspects of herself that like come alive. Like she actually has this like deep mystical, magical muse embodiment that just couldn't flower before. So yeah, really passionate, really fun. Like there's all this dancing and fun, and there's all these different like little side love stories as well. There's all these different characters, and we get little insights into like their little like psycho-emotional dramas as well. So there's all like multiple love stories happening, but it's all centered on Marianne. So yeah, really beautiful, very invigorating, really great read for the summer, I would say. Highly recommend. And then, okay, that brings us to the last novel. Well, second to last. Last one I'll review for now. OMG, a novel, so this is called Z, a novel of Zelda Fitzgerald. This novel was like, I devoured this. I could not stop reading. I love how like I felt like I read the books. I mean, I read them in no particular order. I just kind of took, I stacked them by like size. I was like, I'm just going to move through the stack from top to bottom. And I feel like even the way I read them, like each one was like leading up to the next experience. And this has been so far. I mean, this novel blew me away. Oh, it is very rich, very tender. Oh, just wow. Wow, wow, wow. So it's a novel. But the author, and she writes this in the back, the author is Therese and Fowler. It's a novel, but she has done a lot of research on the Fitzgeralds' actual lives, that a lot of the novel, I mean, it's based in a lot of truth. So I feel like I got the emotional truth of the lives of Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald. Like, I feel like I know them now on this deeply personal level. Like, this like took me into a whole nother like dimension of consciousness as I like I've heard of them, but I haven't read anything like this. Obviously, I mean, F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote The Great Gatsby, right? His most famous work. And they made it into a movie, and I'm familiar with that, but I didn't ever go deeper into he and his wife. And this novel, like, I felt like it took me into their world in such a rich way. It felt so true. Like, even though it's fiction, it felt true. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like this, it was like I was like in a movie. It felt like a time travel movie where I was watching their life, their timeline, and I'm so moved. And I feel like it connected me more deeply to the organic Renaissance grids here in the Midwest. I live in the Midwest. And F. Scott Fitzgerald, he was born in St. Paul, Minnesota, so the capital of the state that I'm currently in. And just to like get the fullness of this emotional landscape, and then to realize like they were here on this land, it did something. There's a lot of passion in this book. They're obviously deeply in love with each other. But oh my gosh, there's so much trial also. But the whole landscape is written with so much love. I really saw it through this lens of love, rather than trying to polarize. Like, I guess historically there's like Team Zelda, Team Scott, and I just saw it through the lens of union, through love, and how both Zelda and Scott, I mean, they both struggled. But for me, from my perspective, I'm like, oh my gosh, well, they struggled because they're lovers in a world that is so anti-love, anti-Christ, right? They're like embodying this muse artist codex, and there's so much passion in their love, in their early life, but then there's also this underlying pain, and ultimately their union is it's not fully anchored in Christ. This is how I like received it. And so yeah, they just go through a lot, and it ends, I mean, the end, I was bawling my eyes out at the end of the novel. I'm not gonna spoil it. It's so good, it's so worth it, even though I feel like their spirits live on through, I really feel like the spirits of those who came before us, they anchored the Renaissance is what I'm saying, and I'm so big on the Renaissance, right? I've talked about this a lot in the diary with my patrons, like the Renaissance. And so like I have this newfound respect for both Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald, like whether they were a true union couple or not. I have my theories as I've been doing research. Their love, their passion as individuals and as a couple, they anchored in a Renaissance code for America. And this was The Great Gatsby came out in the 1920s. So this was like the roaring 20s era, right? The jazz age, the post-World War I Renaissance. I just feel that their passion, their creativity, their zest for life, even though they definitely went overboard and, there was alcoholism that contributed a lot to a lot of their problems, I just see the love and the passion of these individuals who were just on fire for life. And I recognize so much of the organic artist template in Scott's character, like just a man on fire for creation. And yeah, artists feel a lot. We're highly sensitive. It's tempting to try to numb it out with drugs and alcohol. So many have gone that way because this world has been so unkind to those who feel, because those who feel are in tune with what's real, right? And this world has been a lot of artificial landscapes. So I just was like, yeah, yes, they had their problems, but they had passion. They had passion and they had fire and were willing to trust and love to forge a new way. Now, they weren't anchored fully in Christ's love, and I think that's really important for union, for passion, because it is so creative, and Christ is the ultimate creator, is the creator. And so to have a union anchored in him can ensure that the passion does not spill over into tragedy. But oh my gosh, I could go on, and like I'm not ready to leave the book behind. Like I finished it, bawled my eyes out, and then like the next day I picked up this book and I'm like, I just can't yet. I can't yet dive into the next one. I'm still just like, my heart is still being worked on by this novel, this story, this landscape, and the Renaissance, the true Renaissance that was anchored, because these are real characters. I think that was the difference. Like both of these are pure fiction, whereas this one it's like fiction, but it borders the line between fiction and nonfiction because it is so based in truth, in actual characters who were artists themselves. So it was a very surrealist experience for me, knowing that these are real characters and that they spent time here in Minnesota, in St. Paul is where Scott was born. Oh, and I just, so tender, so much love. So, and I feel they definitely anchored Renaissance codes, artistic Renaissance codes in the American grids that we're currently giving birth to. So this was like really personal. It felt like I was just so moved, so enraptured. I could go on and on. So I highly, highly recommend if you're in for a fiery, passionate read. It's written so well. It's told through Zelda's perspective. So it's almost like you're reading her diary, her account of the events. And I just see all the overlays of the 20th century of America and all the confusion and distortion and the medicalization of femininity. Yeah, I could do a whole video on that. So I see that so much of her journey this was the time when it was post World War One. There was this Renaissance, but there was also this like breaking down of the marriage template. And so there was all this pressure. I mean, I feel it was like, I feel at that time humanity was, I feel the artistic movement of that time, the 1920s, which is like the jazz age, right? The Art Deco era. So inspirational, so influential. I feel, and this was after World War One, and I feel like the soul of humanity was trying to get free. So there's all these conversations around, and led by these artistic movements, regarding feminism and marriage, and all these conversations were happening. So it's just really interesting historically as well, and just to read and feel into the love that these two shared for each other, but also the distortions that I think were both internal and coming from the world, where they just couldn't ever fully, it's like they couldn't fully come into the frame of love. I don't know, I could go on and on, but it was so good. It was so good. Wow. Thank you, God. So, I don't know when I'll be ready. I'm feeling Tuesday I will be ready to move on. I feel like I have to spend a few more days in the Gatsby, Renaissance era. I have to watch the movie or, I don't know, something. I'm just not ready to leave them behind. But when I do, this will be my last book before my next library trip. It's called The American Heiress. And I guess there's nothing to review yet because I haven't read it. So we'll see. Interesting, though. Interesting that this is the last book. The Fitzgerald book opened up all these American Renaissance codes that I wasn't expecting. And now I'm going to be reading The American Heiress. So I will... maybe I'll share next week if I don't know if I'll finish it this week or what, but anyway, thanks for tuning into my book review. Shout out to these authors. Incredible work. We need books. No matter how fancy our tech gets, no matter how fancy our AI gets, we need books, we need writers, we need readers. So that being said, I invite you to check out my Patreon, Diary of a Muse. It started out as a devotion to the Renaissance, and it's become, a living light diary. So if you would like to become a patron, I would appreciate your support so much. My next goals, I have a lot of goals. I have so many things I need to bring into form. I want to get a passport, tech upgrade, sofa for my room so I have a comfortable place to sit. So your patronage will go toward all of the things to make creating even better. Passport, because I am feeling called to open up to travel more in these coming years, including internationally. And I'm called to get a passport. And if you become a patron, you also, so I share my P.O. box with my patrons. I invite you to write handwritten letters with me. It's just so fun. The muse, the artist, the Renaissance, it's all here. So I will put links below for everything going on in my life. There's so much happening. I feel like we're mid-July. I'm like a flower just exploding, and I just can't even keep track anymore of the timelines and the creations. I'm just like, okay, God, here we go. Let's just have fun during this process. So thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you thought, and what other kinds of things you would like me to vlog about on my channel. Yeah, please leave me a comment, like this video, subscribe, and let's keep the Renaissance moving. Sending you all so much love. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time.